Hey guys, this is Nick with Phone Arena, and one of the key features in the iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus is their iSight camera. Like on previous iPhone models, it has only 8 megapixels of resolution, but as we know, Apple has never really been in the megapixel race. And this clearly isn't stopping the new iPhone models from doubling as excellent cameras. Here's the proof. We did a camera comparison with the iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus against other popular high-end phones. The iPhone 5S, the Galaxy S5, the LG G3, the Lumia 1520, the Sony Xperia Z2 and the HTC One M8. All phones did well, but in most scenes it was the new iPhones that stood out. The iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus capture photos with excellent colors in them. Colors are vivid and pleasing without being blown out of proportion. If an object of a very intense color is being photographed, its color rarely appears more saturated than it should. And we like how the color of the sky has been preserved to appear natural. The iPhone 5S does not lag far behind. Colors in its photos are a bit warmer and more saturated, but still within tolerable limits. The Nokia Lumia 1520 has a lot of potential, but its results are rather inconsistent. Some of its photos have excellent color balance and accuracy, while others turn out overly warm or cold. The Sony Xperia Z2 has its own opinion about things. With colors in particular, its camera keeps their saturation at a neutral, almost washed out level, with a slightly coldish tone in several scenes. The Samsung Galaxy S5 takes photos with mostly colder colors. That is especially noticeable in shades of red, which appear slightly pinkish. The LG G3 produces vivid, colorful images. Some scenes, however, do appear colder or warmer than they should. And there is the HTC One M8. Its camera can be rather unpredictable. Some scenes have natural colors, but in others, colors are too saturated, especially when it's a cloudy day. Details in the photos from the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus are plentiful, even though their cameras have only 8 megapixels to work with. When you zoom in, you can clearly see fine details like blades of grass and the leaves on trees. And details are neither too soft nor too sharp. Noise is barely visible in daytime photos. But overall, the Nokia Lumia 1520 takes photos with even better details in them. That's not too big of a surprise given its 20 megapixels of resolution. The Samsung Galaxy S5 is a step ahead of the new iPhones when it comes to details. There is just one thing that bothers us. It appears that the phone increases the sharpness of its photos and artificially enhances the details in the process. The LG G3 does the opposite. Its details are softer, presumably due to the camera's noise reduction software, but this isn't likely to bother anyone unless they zoom in too much. The iPhone 5S cannot quite reach the detail level of the iPhone 6, but it is still a worthy rival with its 8 megapixel images. They are low on noise and high on details given the resolution. Surprisingly, the Xperia Z2 is trailing behind. Despite the high resolution of its sensor, the images have lots of artifacts and fine details appear distorted. The photos are good, of course, but not as good as we expected them to be. And the HTC One M8 cannot keep up with its resolution of just 4 megapixels. The photos are usable, but the fine details in them are not pretty. Now here is where it gets interesting. It turns out that the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6 Plus perform differently in low light conditions. This is easy to notice in their indoor photos. The optical image stabilization in the 6 Plus allows the phone to safely decrease the shutter speed and sensitivity of the camera. As a result, its photos have less digital noise. Overall, the iPhone 6 Plus took the best indoor photos in our comparison, followed by the great but rather inconsistent Nokia Lumia 1520. The iPhone 6 came in third place. The other phones also did well. Predictably, the LG G3 took steady, blur-free photos, but the softer details were present once again. And here's the iPhone 5S. Its low-light photos are usable, but we cannot ignore the fact that they're quite noisy. Still, we are seeing a lot of details in them given the camera's resolution. The Sony Xperia Z2 cannot keep up for some reason. Blur can be an issue, and noise spoils the fine details. Unexpectedly, the Samsung Galaxy S5 produced mostly mediocre low-light photos. Some scenes were decent, others were barely usable, with lots of noise and blur in them. And lastly, the HTC One M8 takes acceptable low-light photos, but nothing more can be expected. At least the LED flash works really well when it is needed. We took some photos at night as well, and the results were very similar to what we saw in our previous test. The iPhone 6 Plus did an excellent job, again performing better than the iPhone 6. Their photos had good details, accurate enough colors and no motion blur, but the photos from the 6 Plus had noticeably less noise. The Nokia Lumia 1520 takes night photos with great details, but its camera cannot quite set the proper white balance. That isn't really a deal breaker, but it is a flaw nonetheless. The LG G3 takes good night photos most of the time, but in some scenes there's way too much detail softening going on, and it isn't pretty. If there is enough light present, then there is a much higher chance of ending up with a nice photo. The iPhone 5S is capable of producing really good-looking night shots. The biggest downside is that they're quite noisy, especially when compared to what the newer models can do. Our night photos from the Sony Xperia Z2 turned out decent, but still we were expecting to see better results. Details are soft and grainy compared to what we saw from other phones. Also, color accuracy is a bit shaky. The nighttime photos from the Galaxy S5 could not impress us. Some were underexposed, blurry or noisy, which made them unusable. As for the HTC One M8, its night photos are quite okay. Don't expect to see any fine details in them, but the proper exposure makes the phone's night images more than usable. When it comes to video recording, the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus stand out once again. Their videos have excellent color and detail, and the image stabilization works wonderfully well. The only area where we want to see improvement is the sound in the iPhone's videos. The sound is okay, but seriously lacking in volume. The iPhone 5S produces similar results. Like the iPhone 6, it keeps the frame steady using software image stabilization. Colors and details are also excellent. Videos from the Galaxy S5 aren't as stable as those from the new iPhones. But that aside, the produced videos are actually pretty good, with lots of details and accurate colors. The sound in them is loud and clear. Videos shot with the LG G3 turn out good, with lots of details, little noise, and excellent stabilization. However, dark areas are too dark and bright areas are too bright, in our opinion. Also, the recorded audio sounds digitized and artificial. The Nokia Lumia 1520 takes detailed videos, but it seems like something is causing the frame to wobble a bit. We wouldn't call this imperfection annoying, but it is noticeable. Videos from the HTC One M8 are smooth, sufficiently detailed, and with accurate colors, but the camera definitely doesn't like it when you're shooting against the sun. We must point out that the sound in the M8's videos is excellent. As for the Sony Xperia Z2, its videos are stable thanks to the software stabilization, but details are lacking compared to what other phones can produce. At least the sound in the videos is loud and of high quality. So here is something that we have said before: megapixels are not all that matters in a camera, and the new iPhones prove it. With just 8 megapixels of resolution, they can take excellent photos and videos under a variety of conditions. Not to mention that their camera software is really easy to use. This makes them two of the best camera phones that we have tested so far. But the competition will catch up sooner or later. We have yet to test two very promising devices, the Sony Xperia Z3 and the Samsung Galaxy Note 4. Who knows, maybe they will be able to do better than Apple's iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus. We hope to find out soon. For more details on our camera comparison, just check out our website phonearena.com.